Hello people of the internet, it's Amanda, and for today's video we're not really going to be talking about K-dramas, but I figured that since I also talk about pop culture, fan culture, idol culture here on my channel, then might as well discuss this thing that I've always wanted to talk about, which is how being an idol fan helped me shape my journey to hyperfemininity or embracing hyperfemininity. I think another reason why I was inspired to make this video now, even if I've been planning to do this for so long, is because of all the Barbie themed things that are happening lately. If I were to put this in like a different phrasing, I would say that embracing idol culture or fan culture has definitely helped me embrace my inner and outer Barbie. And this will take a little bit of like a personal route because I will explain further like why this had an effect on me and how this affected my preferences or the way that I express my preference nowadays compared to previous years. But overall, like all these things, Barbie, being a fan of King and Prince, I'll be talking about them in the collective sense of even with the other members who have left, because that's when I became a fan of theirs. But I'll be talking about that in detail later on into the video. But it's just that I really want to emphasize the importance of like pop culture and hobbies in shaping people's preferences in ways that sometimes affects us in a deep personal level that transcends like even other things that we're into or our experiences or all of those things. And that's the reason why I'm making this one. So yeah, with that said, let's just get to it. I've always been into Barbies as a kid. Like I've had several Barbies. I have a collection. I really like their fashion, playing with them, creating all these like different scenarios with my different Barbies, playing with their accessories, all of these things. And I think a significant part of why I got into makeup is because I really loved the Barbie aesthetic growing up. Like I also used to wear, as a kid, I used to wear a lot of like Barbie branded clothes. I was a girly girl. I used to have like my scene accessories. I even have like a bed sheet, which I think can be seen in my other videos as well because I still have it. I used to have like Barbie bags, those things, along with like Disney princess stuff, which I wouldn't really be discussing more. I'll be focusing more on like the idol stuff and the Barbie stuff in today's video. But all those kind of like typical girly girl stuff back then, like as a kid. And I think up until I was 7 to 8 years old, I was really this like, you know, like I was that kid who had all the accessories, who loved pink and purple and all of those, like all those stuff. But then when I turned 9 years old and I was told that I had to wear like glasses, I also had to wear braces because I had a lot of like crazy things happening on my teeth and it really needed to be corrected. And yeah, my eyesight was also has also gone bad. It was around that time where Betty LaFeo was at her peak. If you don't know, the American iteration of that is Ugly Betty, and obviously like the stereo, like the way that they portray, you know, ugliness in that particular like pop culture moment was someone with glasses and braces. And so because of that, a lot of people, like people who used to like this very girly girl side of me, like things turned around. You know, it's the whole like pretty privileged thing that's happening even when you're just a kid, where people just love an adorable looking kid, but if you're not to that standard anymore, bullying starts and teasing starts and stuff like that. And I think my defense mechanism even at that young age is and I also started, you know, because puberty and stuff like that, I also started getting breakouts and stuff. And so like now looking back as an adult, like it wasn't that big of a deal. Like now I absolutely love wearing my glasses. I don't wear contacts as much because I do feel like my glasses really fit me. And all that, but you know, as a kid that was sort of like a big deal, and I think that really helped in term that really shaped the way that I viewed myself at the time, where these girly girl things that I was so used to back then, like, made me feel pretty as a kid. I feel like they don't fit me anymore because I don't fit that standard anymore, and people aren't calling me pretty, but they're calling me ugly because of like the things that has changed in me, where again, wearing braces, having breakouts, wearing glasses, all these things. And my defense mechanism wasn't that, you know, I I became a little bit more aggressive, and I felt like I was I was othered in a way. And I think the thing that it reminded me so much of True Beauty, that K-drama, where she started liking horror stuff. Same with Yamato Nadeshiko, which is the anime, where she started loving all these like creepy, weird stuff because that's what she can relate to. And I think even as a kid, like, that's what happened to me as well. Like, I started not relating to the girly girl stuff because they're made to be seen as only fit for like pretty, like conventionally pretty. And so I leaned more on like just the color black, or you know, all these kinds of things. And as someone who's also loved consuming pop culture even at a young age, like books and movies, I've also seen how pop culture antagonized the hyper feminine characters, making the not like other girl character tropes the protagonists, and these protagonists seem more relatable to me at the time. I'm talking about, say, High School Musical. I was very into High School Musical back then, and they made it seem like Sharpay was the evil one. She's wearing all pink, she's all confident, whereas her counterpart, Gabriella, even if she's not wearing glasses or braces, she's the nerdy girl who's into books and stuff like that, which I was also into growing up. And so I found her character more relatable, though looking back now, Sharpay was really the one who, like, they did Sharpay dirty back then, like the way that they presented her in the narrative. Other characters, like for example, for Mean Girls, you know, with Katie, her changing into a more hyper feminine character as the plastics showed that being hyper feminine makes you into this evil trope kind of thing. And obviously, like, you kind of root for her old self because she's just wearing baggy clothes and all of these things, like things that are not considered conventionally girly girl. And like right now with TikTok, you know, calling out the not like other girls kind of like trope. But back then, like, that was the thing. Hyper femininity was viewed as this kind of like evil thing, and the girl with the glasses, who, looking back, like the actresses that they got for those roles, they're also conventionally pretty, but they're meant to represent the ones who don't feel conventionally pretty in the way that they're presented, because they are the representation of those girls in pop culture. And even in books, like, you get these clumsy girls who trip and stuff like that. Like, you know, like, they are the protagonists, and girls who are a little bit flighty and love high heels and stuff like that. Like, they're, you know, like, they're viewed as the quirky characters or whatever, like the they're either the fairy godmother characters, or they're the villains who's trying to steal the guy that the shy, nerdy main character is into, you know, all these kinds of things. So again, bottom line is, hyperfemininity was something that was antagonized, and growing up, I kind of like embodied that as well. I'm not saying that I didn't like hyper feminine like things growing up, because I still ended up loving makeup, but it's more of this idea that my other preferences, I try as much as possible not to like pink. I try to fill my wardrobe with a lot of like blacks and grays and white and all of those things. And the thing is, I studied in a Catholic school as well, so there's this thing where girls who wear excessive makeup during that time, like there's this idea of they shouldn't be doing that because that's against the school rules. Girls who kind of like fold their or wear their skirts a little shorter, which is like still not that short, like looking back, but all these kinds of things, like, you know, it kind of like builds this thing inside your head of what, of again, antagonizing the whole hyper feminine idea, embracing just things that makes girls girls, you know, or other girls, you know, like these kinds of like stereotypical preferences, you know. And it wasn't until I became an Idol fan, quite interesting, because, you know, with King and Prince, like their main idea is this royal, dainty, princess queen type of aesthetic, because that was what the group was about, especially during the earlier years of when they debuted, when I got into them. And at first, you know, I just found it so funny that I was standing this kind of group, because I felt like it was just not for me. Like that kind of aesthetic wasn't for me. And I think it's kind of funny as well, because whenever I talk to like friends or people who know me, they see me as a hyper feminine character, because I do love dressing up. I work in a fashion beauty kind of like career path. You know, all these kinds of things, like I'm really into makeup and skincare and all these things, but that kind of thing doesn't match up with what I feel inside when it comes to my preferences, because to me, what it feels like is I'm into all of these things, but I have my reasons. But when it comes to my own preferences, I'm not a girly girl. I used to have this kind of like idea, like I'm saying that, yeah, I wear makeup, but when I don't have to dress up for work, I still prefer shirts and jeans over, like I had this very defensive way of trying to present my preferences at the time. And then again, going back into being an Idol fan and like just this entire thing, it really helped me embrace like just loving things that are cute, that are dainty, that are pink, that are princessy, you know, all these kinds of things, like dresses and more traditionally feminine silhouettes, because I don't know, it helped with my identity as a fan. And again, as someone who loves pop culture and who lives and breathes pop culture, it kind of like I kind of like absorbed that, like that identity of the group that I'm standing, and being called a tiara because that's what the fandom is about, you know, those kinds of things. It really influenced the way to how I view myself. And I'm talking about my early 20s already. Like even now, to be honest, I'm still having difficulty trying to tweak my preferences, because I still usually lean towards like darker colors whenever I'm shopping for clothes, because that's just how it's been for so long, because I thought that only black and gray and all these other things are the only ones that fit me, because again, I didn't see myself as someone who fits that pretty category, that, you know, like who's someone who can like hyper feminine things. But then jumping into this fandom is all about like the identity revolves around royalty, princess, all of these things. It helped me like be more open to the idea of that, to like things that are, you know, that like make sense for me, to be more open about loving color, about liking dresses, things that I used to say I don't like, but I know deep inside myself that I want to try them out, I want to wear them. And I don't know, like I'm really, really loving that effect that it had on me. I'm not shaming my own self for loving those kinds of preferences anymore. But yeah, but back then it wasn't more of like what other people think of me, but it was more of an internal thing that I keep telling myself, you shouldn't like that because that wouldn't fit you, that wouldn't fit who you are or how you look or all of these things. And I'm really, really happy about that. And that's a reason why I wanted to make this video, is because being a Kim Puri fan definitely helped me embrace that side of myself, of loving all these things. And I'm really, really happy. And now I'm back to like that, being that little girl who just loves Barbie, Disney princesses and all of these things without restraining myself from loving them, because at the end of the day, like, I just let myself like things because I like them. No more calling out myself for liking things that are a little bit too hyper feminine for what I used to think just fits me or cages me. And I find it unfortunate that I missed out on so many years being so fixated on, you know, like I had the phase where I'm being forced to wear color by my mom. But if it was up to me, you know, I would just wear black. And I still love black. I think that it's a very versatile color, but I don't stick to it anymore. You know, I'm not making those kinds of outfits part of who I am anymore. And it's partly because of me being a fangirl and embracing this identity that being a fan has allowed me to explore, and I really, really love that. And bottom line of this video, I think, is that given, you know, the whole idol culture, how it affects our preferences and all these things, definitely it has its pros and cons. Going with the Barbie thing as well, like pop culture in itself, it has its highs and lows, but overall it really is a powerful thing. And as someone who loves consuming it, I hope that it has the same positive effect to people as it did with me. Like, obviously we have to regulate ourselves as to what extent pop culture affects us, but in my personal experience, I was really, really happy that like being an idol fan and just embracing this kind of like fan culture, just I was into the identity of what being a fan of this particular group entailed, really helped, you know, shape up my aesthetic. I'm really loving like cute frill stuffs, laces, dresses recently, dressing up, even if, you know, it's just for casual going to the mall kind of thing. I'm not just restraining myself into this girl who fits t-shirts and jeans more or anything like that, which for the longest time I was restricting myself with. And yeah, and I think like pop culture is a very, very interesting thing. And I'm really curious how it helps shape people, how fan culture, idol culture, or just pop culture in general has changed the way people think, not just in general, but starting with their own selves and their preferences. And that's the reason why I'm making this video, is because to me it definitely helped. And yeah, and I'm not sure, like as usual with my other videos, it usually turns out just very, very chatty. Even if I usually have notes in place, I just end up, you know, expressing what I want to express when it comes to these types of things. But yeah, like overall, I'm just really, really happy that now I'm able to enjoy hyper feminine things without policing myself for liking them. There's a newfound confidence and self-love in being able to just like things for they are, and for what they are, and not to tell yourself that it doesn't fit you, that it doesn't fit who you are supposedly, or your aesthetic. Because at the end of the day, you know what, you just love what you do that's good for you and that isn't harming other people. And I really, really like that. So yeah, now I'm embracing my full Barbie self, inside and out, loving cute stuff, my bed filled with a lot of stuffed toys, wearing some cute pajamas, you know. And yeah, so Yeah, now that that's out, it really feels good just talking about it. As usual, tell me down in the comments below, how has being a fan of something, being an idol fan, being a fan of anything related to pop culture, changed you for the better or helped you discover yourself for the better? Let's talk it out down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon in a new one. Bye!